Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going through the AFLW forwards, going through and giving you my opinion on a lot of them because it is the probably most interesting line each year. I think it's the one that comes with the most confusion. Like if we look just quickly at the or just think about quickly the rucks and the midfields, they're very, very common. A lot of us have, if there's 6 midfield slots, a lot of us have 5 or so of the same midfielders, if not 6. And if not, you include the utility, that could be 7. So most of us have 5 or 6 out of 7. And then for the ruck line, it's basically a choice between like 2 or 3. And most of us have the same R2. So it really is just 1 or 2, well, obviously only being 1 ruck, but the forward line causes a lot of chaos because there's a lot of just players having different roles and stuff like that, and I think it's the line of the best value options. But anyway, let's just jump into this straight away. First of all, one thing that I just wanted to do before we get into this is just talk about the league here that I have set up. We have like 110 or so if I quickly scroll to the bottom here, or so of you guys in this league. 109. Don't know if that counts the double ups. And obviously you can just quickly jump in with the code here, I believe should work. That's the code there, and then the league link as well, which I'll post in the description of this video, is going to be there as well. So let's jump straight into the forwards. So Goldsworthy would have been, I think, most people's number one forward. I think she'll still be highly up in the forwards. She's still the second most owned forward because she was so great last year. 91% CBAs. She was probably lucky to hold forward status, but she did, and it looks like GWS have decided that they want her more forward for the start of this year at least, and we'll see how that plays out because it might take them 3 rounds to figure out that she is honestly their second or best midfielder, I should say. So that's probably what's going to happen. She's probably going to drop 200k in those first couple weeks. They'll figure that out finally, and then they'll start to play her on ball, which she'll start to recoup all the ground that she lost in the first little bit because she's priced at 77. She could go 50-50, and if she does that, she's probably, just off the top of my head, she's probably going to lose to her break even across those 2 weeks by about 65 points, which is roughly about losing 200k. So if she loses 200k, gets down to 800k, everyone's going to, and she has one good game in the midfield, everyone's going to go up. Yep, we can move our failed forward pick because we're bound to have a failed mid-pricer in the forward line. We can move them to Goldsworthy, that'll be that, etc. Gould, I think a lot of people just owning her because she's probably not going to move around in her price point too much. I should say she's not going to move around in her average too much, not a price point, because she's probably going to have volatile games. But yeah, she's one that I think a lot of people are just wanting some definite point scoring. She'll be probably top 7, but I don't think there's any value there. Maloney is one that, out of all the sort of forwards, except for probably Wardlaw in the top, let's just say 10 or so, or 10, I should actually change this to price. Because, yeah, out of the top 10 or so, there's probably only Wardlaw down to about Stannett. From Maloney down to Stannett. Maloney is the only one down to Stannett in this whole list that I'm like, there could be potentially some value there. 878k, went 74 in her last 3. I think she could go 70, but 70 is only like 70, 71. That's only plus 2 or 3. So I don't think there's much value there, but I do think there is some potential. Malloy is one that's going to be highly owned, but I think she said on multiple occasions that she's going to play wherever the Swans need her to play, and that is just a horrific role. So we're going to stay clear of that, I think. And we'll trade into her because she's bound to probably be around about that 70 marker. She's played, but she's not going to have that definitive midfield role, which really helped her last a couple of years ago when she moved across. So she'll still probably be in and around these key forwards type of pricing of 65 to 70, but I don't think there's going to be too much value there. And I really do think that there's just better options in the forward line at the moment. And then just scrolling down a little bit, I think O'Loughlin's one that's probably going to decrease in her price this year. Don't think she holds 66 average. Neither does Hamilton or any of these ones here. And then we get down to Stannett, who if you look at this right here, you'll probably think, oh, she's priced at around about, if we just look at it, she's priced about 59. Like, there's a little bit of a gap here, and we do think that sort of around about that 68, 67 is gonna be top enough in top 5 to 7 in the forward line. Maybe you get down to the 66s of Bodie and O'Loughlin a little bit to get to that top 7, but I think it will be around that 67, 68. Can Stannett go +9 or +10? And if we look at Stannett's stuff here and we look at her, look at everything regarding to her, she's probably going to play that 4th on-ball role. And if we look at the 4th on-ball role, well, if we look at Stannett's stats in general, and we look at it here, she went 74 on 53% CBAs in season 8, which was 2023. So if we look at that here, we look at everything, you can see that I think she's one that is potentially going to go around that 70 marker, which will be enough. And that's all that she needs. She needs to basically go about 6 less than her 74 that she averaged on 53% CBAs. Admittedly, there was quite a few 0 CBA games, etc. But if we look at these games here and we go 77, 56, 76, 96, 97, sorry. If we look at all that, so 97 plus 77 plus 76 plus 56 is 303. Divide that by 4 and you get 76.5. I think there is genuine value there for her to average 8 less than that, which is actually more than she averaged when she went on ball, can we just say. I think there is genuine just scoring potential there, and she doesn't really need the CBAs too much. CBAs obviously will help just ground that tackling score. But yeah, I think she's one that doesn't need ridiculous goals either. She had 3 goals in that span. If you take away, times this by 4, if you take away even the full 30 points for those, she scored 3 goals, so that'd be 27 points if you take away the kicks as well. Then she still averages, that's the wrong thing. So let me just quickly get that back. She still averages 69.75 if you remove goals. If you remove goals and the kicks that she had on those goals, she still averages 69.75, which is right in the zone. So you can basically remove everything. Remove everything that was almost how she was scoring. And she still is stacking up well. So that's why I just think that there is value there from Stannett's point of view. Stratton, don't think so. Parry. Carruthers is an interesting one. Probably going to get the role, but I just think she is a free kick against Merchant. And you will see exactly what I mean here. She had 5 free kicks against in the practice game, I think. 2.3 free kicks against for the season last year. And she could be one that does present value in that she potentially goes 70 or so. But I just think that I think Pritchard and some others are coming back from memory from that Western Bulldogs lineup. And I don't think that she has the full role there. And I just don't back her in as much if we look at her full numbers here. Because she's basically at the price that she's at because of this one big game. She had one big game and that's about it in her whole career. Outside of that one big game, she's had 4 games above 60, I believe, in her career out of 19 games. 4 games above 60 and 1 game above 80 in her 19 games. So that just doesn't fill me with confidence, and that's why I'm out of the Carruthers at the moment. O'Sullivan, Sheilor, there's no one here that I really rate as valuable, to be honest with you. Let's just scroll a little bit down. And then we get to Montana Hammond. She's one that I think has a lot of value this year. And I think it's value that's probably going to be shaved off of Malloy and potentially what Hamilton was in the past. Cynthia Hamilton, that is. Because it looks like this could be the breakout year for Ham. And the good thing for her is she's priced at 52.5. She probably, as we said, only needs to be a sort of 65 to be a really, really good value selection. And I could easily see that. If we go here and look at Ham, in the past, when she's done that sort of role as an 18-year-old, she's done it really, really well on average 63. So we've seen it in the past, her almost doing what she needs to do anyway. And that was at a 1.06 points per minute. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she does honestly better than the 62. If we look at her 2024 form when she was in the VFL, you can see that it was really outstanding. That is 211, 292, 398, 475 across 5 games. 475 divided by 5 is a 95 in the VFLW. So we've seen it in the past, and if we look at her scoring when she has above sort of 60 or so percent CBAs, she has gone, if we just quickly look at it, 69 plus 72, and this is in her rookie year, admittedly, 39 plus not 68 plus the 81 plus the 67, and divide that by 1 2 3 4 5 divided by 5, and you get an average of 65.6 in her rookie year, playing the role that we expect her to play. 65.6, and that is right in the range, and I think she could add another 2-3 touches onto that, because she was only really having those sort of 11 20 14 16 and then 13. She could be having consistent 15 to 20 touch games, and suddenly that 65 balloons out to 70 and she's top of the line almost. And then we keep scrolling down. Barnett's an interesting one. I've definitely seen some teams that have her priced at 52 basically, well 51.5. She's one that I think could take that next leap. There's been talk about her, well, I mean, she's 30, but there's been talk about her potentially getting more ruck time. Had a little bit of ruck time in the past, but is definitely one that I think could go potentially 50-50 in the ruck if they're trying to preserve the likes of Sabrina Frederick. So she could get that extra ruck time, 33%. Is that extra 17% that she's going to get potentially this year going to massively impact? I don't think so, but it could get her that extra sort of 5 points of value. But aside from that, I don't see there being much gain from it. Maybe just Collingwood being a better club gets her another couple of touches and everything, just being around the ball a little bit more. So maybe she cracks 60, but I think we're looking at, we're really using a little bit of extra sort of, what would you say, cherry on top to really get her to 60, rather than there being a clear and obvious thing. And then Window's an interesting one, and she's probably the one that I'm least confident in this in this forward line out of the picks that I've got. And that's just because we're basically hoping on natural development basically to the most part with this. And it could work. It definitely could. But she's definitely... There will be a slight uptake in her midfield role, I think, but it won't be terribly much. If we just go to Piper Window here for a second, and you can see 49% CBA is 52.8 in the whole season. She did go 68 in the finals, alongside I think a 73 as well, which that's actually a better sign than anything. That's probably the best sign that we've got so far, because she was priced at 50, I believe, for the whole season. But we can see that she's not really reliant on CBAs and everything. But we do see that her TOG did start to go up in the last couple of games of the year. So this one's more of a speculative pick that she just gets better and better and better, natural development. But I think we have room in this forward line to go for natural development, just because there's value, but there's not too much value, I don't think. And then outside of that, I don't really see much in the sort of 500k range. Just looking at this, I think Howarth scored 29 or something in the preseason game, so that's not the best. And then I don't see anything else, to be honest with you, just quietly here. And then we get down to the slam dunk pick of Too Good. All she has to do is not get injured. Would be nice if she didn't get injured, but yeah, she just needs to get on the park, because at 501k, I know she had an outlandish 2023, I believe it was, and but even if she just gets back to her season 7 of Essendon at 63, that's job done. So yeah, she obviously, I don't think will repeat the season 8 102 that she was going at, but I think that she'll run it close to her sort of season between season 7 and season 8, and go somewhere around that 75 to 80 marker, which will be just about right and just job done for her. But yeah, hopefully if she isn't injured, which we hope that she isn't, because she had 2 injuries in her in season 9. If we actually remove those injury games of 9 pointers, so it'd be 6 times 38.7 is 232 minus 9, divide that by 4, and you get her at 55.75, basically coming off injuries and stuff like that and not even playing that well. And she's already shown that she can go that 87 and stuff like that. So yeah, if she gets a full season in, she'll probably go 75 or so and be top of the line. And then looking at the rest of this, the interesting actual area is in and around this 470 to 450k range. You've got Vesio, you've got Tonin, and you've got Butler, all potentially playing that halfback role and all being potentially really good value. Vesio, we've seen it in the past, and I think she scored like a 60 or so, but was flicked into the forward line. So I think she's one in the second half of the preseason game, she was flicked into the forward line, and I think that's the reason why I'm probably not as hot on her compared to like the Tonin and the Butler. Butler, I think there's been a Cronin preseason injury setback, I want to say, alongside someone else being set back. So there is quite a lot of room in that Collingwood backline, and I think she can potentially get those kick-ins, and that could present to you and everyone here she's priced at 34.4 or so. There's a potential I see her going somewhere around that 53, 54, somewhere in that low to mid 50s, and if that's the case, then that's value because that's 250k. Tonin, I think roughly around the same as well. I'm more confident in her role compared to, because they've moved Goodwin out and some others around, etc., to get her involved. So I'm more, I think her role's a lot better. I think it's a role change as well from Tonin. Let me just double check that for you guys. For everyone, here we go. Let's just look at this. 34, 40, 29, and 29 again. But if we look at her in the latter half of season 9, we can see a 38 game when she played up forward. This was a 39 game when she played up forward, a 54 game when she played up forward a little bit, and a 39. So when she actually doesn't play up forward, it doesn't the best. But you can see the low tog here. I think that she's really impressed in preseason. If I was to pull up the numbers for that as well, if I go to AFL, let's just go to AFL.com and look up the pre-season stats for you. Rookie Bible, etc., introduction, etc. Let's just see fantasy, who to pick, who to consider, etc. Do we have the pre-season stuff? Cheat sheet, here we go. This is what we need because we want to go down to Tonin here, and she scored a 75, 20 touches, etc. That was huge. And I think just the willingness to use her a little bit more, get her out of that, when she plays her best, she gets the huge touches. So for her to get those big touches, I think it was a big-ish mark game, 6 mark game as well. That's just a really good sign, I think, out of everything. And yeah, just her getting the ball more is going to obviously help her score. And I think that there's a reason why I can see her scoring well. She doesn't necessarily have to wipe everything off the planet and go that 75. She just needs to go 60, to be honest with you. A couple games of 60, and then she can be upgraded. 3 or 4 games of 60, and she has done her job, because she's probably going to be, I would hazard to guess, if she goes 4 games of 60, she's probably going to be up. Well, in general, 25 points times the magic number, that's going to be about 300k cash gen. If she goes 4 games of back-to-back 60, she's probably going to be up 200k. And 200k, 250k at least. That's massive cash generation in general. Let me just check what she can potentially with her. She could be up 300k into 700 and, her averaging 60 gets her in and around this range here, this sort of standard range or so. And that would be huge. So yeah, Tonin, I think, is one that with the best role could go 55, 60. And for 4 or 5 games of that, that's massive cash gen, gets you out of that sort of pocket there and gets you right into upgrading her to potentially taking a stab on a Malloy or a Maloney, etc. at that point in the year. And we'll obviously see if there's other sort of midfielders coming through in the forward designated space. But yeah, I think she's one that I'm willing to take the risk on in that halfback space. And then out of that, there's not really many others to talk about other than the rookies. McDonald's been one that I've sort of heard a little bit of people talking about. I'm not as high on her compared to most. And the reason for that is you can basically look at all of these forwards, all of the key forwards, because McDonald is the best key forward coming out of the draft. Look at Gould. I'm pretty sure she averaged 43 in her rookie year. Maloney, even though she was a mature age up, and obviously learning the game still, coming from Ireland because she's 28 now, think she was in the 40s. Bodie was in the 40s. Wardlaw in the 40s, if not 30s. Gilroy in the 40s as well. Ty in the 40s. And these are like low 40s, if not 38s and stuff like that. Pretty sure Parry the same as well. Shearlaw the same as well. Erdely as well, who some people pointed out that she was drafted as a defender. But she first year that she played as a forward was last year in her third year, and she averaged 45. And for that exact reason, if we just go back down to the likes of a McDonald, she is going to probably average 40, 41. Now, she's priced at about 31. Is 41 points valuable enough? Or is there another sort of position-based player that's going to potentially take that leap above her? Is there a ruckman in this forward line potentially that you can take a leap at there and you can go and look at there? That's potentially what I'm looking at with this. Or are you able to spend up the extra 60k and get a Butler who, for 60k, that's like 5 points. Is Butler going to go, we said 41 for sort of the McDonald was around about her range. Is Butler going to go potentially a 51 or a 55 and suddenly blow off McDonald by an extra 10 points? Is sort of value. That's what I'm looking at there with McDonald. And I just cannot see it, to be honest with you. And then Pisano is one that I'm definitely sort of looked at. I just don't know if she can get that midfield role, because that would be interesting, just given off what we've seen in her sort of rookie me and everything around that. If we go to Pisano, you won't be able to see it as well in this, I don't think, but you might be able to see it slightly. Does she have a, like, you can see it here in her Coates League games and stuff like that. 37, 78, 80, 57, 40, 64, 78, 64, 50. She went and scored a 1-2-1 before. So she has that scoring ability. She just needs to get the role. And I just don't know if she can get that role, to be honest with you. And then the other ones here to look out for in the rookie section would probably be, who else have we got? Cox scored a 40 off like 7 tackles, probably waning a little bit on me just because of that effort. And then you've got as well, don't select Moody because she is retired. I'm pretty sure that's the right Moody that's retired. Looks like her selections are finally going down. And then you've got who else that potentially was going to score well? Like Georgia Clark as well. Played 4 games last year for a 15. And she was one of the top, I think, key forwards as well, coming out of the draft a couple of years ago. Lauren Young's also injured, so that sucks for potential value there, as she was probably the lead 300k player there. And then Amelia Martin's probably one to as well keep an eye on for Sydney. Not going to be one that you start, because she's probably going to play that medium forward, I think, if not tall forward, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, she's one that's impressed in preseason. And then in the other 300kers, you got probably Koss is the only one. And this is just dependent on if she gets that starting ruck role. O'Dowd, I think, has landed in Australia, but I don't know how well, or how her body's going to hold up after a full season of Gaelic football, I think. And so, yeah, we'll see how that happens with Koss, because if she starts, she'll be like O'Dowd last year anyway, and put up similar numbers, sort of that 55 or so, I would think. So that's potentially value in the basement price there. But anyway, that is the video there going through the AFLW forwards for the 2025 fantasy season. If you guys enjoyed, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys back here later for a little bit of AFL fantasy round review content. Bye guys.